There you have it. Manny Pacquiao versus Errol Spence. So the fight has been made. This fight, apart from Wilder versus Fury for obvious reasons, this is another one of those fights that ask so many questions. It's a fascinating fight because of the questions. So let's start first by giving respect to the best trainer in the world, as far as I'm concerned. Derek James still remains for me the best trainer in the world. Why he hasn't had the more accolades in boxing, I have no idea whatsoever why he's not had the accolades. But that's neither here nor there. How do I talk about this fight? Let's just talk about my thoughts on Errol Spence. I don't think they've changed very much. Errol Spence, to me, has never been, to me, a killer. He's put on workmanlike performances. He's put in good performances. I think his performance against Danny Garcia was impressive, considering he'd come off the car accident. I think he looked good there. However, Danny Garcia has seen better days, and I don't know if Danny Garcia himself wants to fight anymore. I don't know. I think he's more interested in showing off his wife and his kids and living that kind of lifestyle. I don't know if Danny Garcia is about that life anymore. I really don't. I didn't see any determination Danny Garcia, apart from the last 30-second shoe shining against Errol Spence. I didn't do anything that I thought Danny Garcia would normally do in a fight, but that also is to couple the fact that Spence is a very good technical boxer. But again, Spence, when he beat Brook, wasn't spectacular. When he beat Mikey Garcia, it's that Mikey Garcia fight that I look at for this Pacquiao fight. That Mikey Garcia fight right back there. That fight there is where I'm looking at this Manny Pacquiao fight. So Spence has never been a killer for me. There are people who would say, Spence is great, he's the bogeyman, he's this and that. But when you talk about bogeymen, like the same example I gave of Mike Tyson, when you talk about somebody being the baddest man on the planet, well, if you're the baddest man on the planet, that means you've just beat the guy who was deemed the baddest man on the planet. If you haven't beaten the baddest man on the planet, you can't be calling yourself the baddest man on the planet. So that was really a slogan that Don King used, that he put out there to sell Mike Tyson. If you ask Don King himself, he'll tell you he was the baddest man on the planet, but he had beaten nobody. But he was the baddest man on the planet. And that's why people still call Mike Tyson the baddest man on the planet. But he wasn't the baddest man on the planet. Evander Holyfield beat him up. Buster Douglas beat him up. Lennox Lewis beat him up. So he was never the baddest man on the planet. He was perceived to be the baddest man on the planet because, well, that's what the media put out there. That's what Don King did, being a great promoter that he is, or the greatest promoter of all time. That's what Don King did. But that didn't make Mike actually technically the baddest man on the planet. And it's this thing now about Errol Spence. Well, Spence is the bogeyman. Well, okay, if he's the bogeyman, who did he beat to be the bogeyman? Like, Errol Spence was the bogeyman in the division before he actually fought anybody of note. And again, this is not knocking Errol Spence's ability. I mean, he's a highly talented individual. I'm not saying that. But when you start calling people killers and bogeymen and stuff like that, and then the performances don't match up to what we intend them to be, that, like, he's a killer. But he fought Sean Porter in a fight that he could have lost. So he fought Danny Garcia. It was okay. Danny Garcia gets beat by the guys at the highest, the elite level. So we know that Spencer's got a fair amount of ability. But don't overshoot this stuff, please. PBC. And, of course, another thing of the overshooting is because of the biased, garbage, trash, lamestream media that are predominantly the majority of them are the writers in boxing are predominantly racist. I'm calling it as it is, predominantly racist, and are always spinning when it comes to fighters of color, always degrading fighters of color and praising up other fighters that are not as good as fighters of color. And if a guy generally is a better fighter, they're good. Because you know me, if a guy's a good fighter, give him credit. If a guy's not good and you put him on these pedestals, like, it's that whole thing about Lomachenko and Terence Crawford. But now Terence Crawford's in a position now where I think You know, who's this guy for? Who's this guy fighting now? I mean, and he doesn't, and no matter when the big fights seems to come up, he seems to go missing. Whether that's Bob Arum or Spence himself, or Crawford himself, because Crawford doesn't want to lose his undefeated record, or Crawford's happy getting paid, the amount of money he's getting paid. I don't know. But if I were Crawford, I wouldn't go and re-sign with Bob Arum. I'd go and join Al with the rest of the welterweight division and have welterweight fights. I do hear a story that Crawford might fight Thurman next, but Keith Thurman for me is finished. Forget Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman's done. Forget Keith Thurman. Thurman can talk. Thurman's always been a great talker, but he's finished. Since he had that shoulder injury, he's never been the same fighter. He's knocked nobody out. Forget Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman now is just a gas man. I mean, once a year, turns up, talking about a fight, get beat by Pacquiao, go away, and then come back again and get beat again. Don't forget Thurman. Forget Thurman. And if Crawford beats Thurman, there's no big thing. So when we talk about Spence, the truth, and this is no disrespect to Derek James, who I think is a fantastic trainer, and this is no disrespect to Errol Spence, who I think is a very good fighter, and I think that obviously he's pay-per-view. You know, he brings the people in. So Spence is good. But now we talk about Manny Pacquiao, a guy who's been proven to be one of the greatest fighters of our era. You know, there's always been questions about Manny Pacquiao, his punching power, moving up in weight, and how he's able to maintain that punching power. You know, back in the day, we used to talk about Manny Pacquiao and the juice. Floyd Mayweather talked about it on a number of occasions. Now Lucas Batista is saying that when he got hit by Manny Pacquiao, his punches felt dry. Thurman saying when you got hit with punches, they feel the same. Manny Pacquiao does punch very hard. He's got some big fists. You know, maybe they think that they underestimate Manny Pacquiao's punching power, or maybe something else is going on. Well, I don't know, but there's always been a talk about Manny Pacquiao. But the thing is this: these people are calling Errol Spence a killer, right? If you're a killer, you don't make a guy like Mikey Garcia come up 2 weight divisions, go to points with you, and you're throwing the biggest punches, you're throwing big bombs at a guy who's 2 weight divisions below you, and yet still you can't knock him out. Is that what a killer is in this generation? Is that what a killer is? Right. Well, for me, he's not a killer. He's a good boxer. He's a good champion. He's what I call hardworking and consistent and workmanlike. It's what I would call Errol Spence, workmanlike. Nothing more, nothing less. I won't call Spence spectacular. I won't call him a killer. I won't call him a bogeyman because he hasn't showed me those things yet. But I'd call him consistent, hardworking, dogged, determined, still takes too many punches for my liking, and doesn't move his head, and is a bit flat-footed. Now, Manny Pacquiao. Pacquiao can give us still that in and out movement. Don't allow Spence to set. Pacquiao wins his fight. Pacquiao wins his fight in the center of the ring. Spence wins his fight. Pacquiao's back against the ropes. Why? Because I don't see Errol Spence throwing those body shots the same way from a distance, with Pacquiao popping in and out. Right? Pacquiao's hand speed is blurring. His footwork is amazing. The way he's able to get in and out and throw them blurring punches. I told you that Pacquiao would beat Thurman, and people say, "Oh no, Thurman's no." Forget Thurman, and he wouldn't beat Broner as well. See, but you know, Spence is I would say Spence is more of a middleweight, boiled down to welterweight. But that's not a problem because there's more of him to hit. The biggest thing is, and the thing with Derek James, he always comes up with a great game plan. As long as I've known Derek James, when you talk about trainers, he's not just a trainer and a mentor. He comes with a world-class game plan. So Manny Pacquiao is not just fighting Errol Spence. He's fighting Errol Spence and his trainer. And that guy is a great tactician. A better tactician than Freddie Roach, by the way. Freddie Roach ain't no tactician. He's been exposed a number of occasions. He can teach attack, but he can't teach defense. So for Errol Spence, he's got to win the fight center of the ring. Nice, strong jabs. Both southpaws, another interesting thing as well. They're both southpaws. But I just think If Spence is not light in his feet and Pacquiao is able to stay center of the ring and maneuver Spence around the ring, not allow Spence to set his feet, and it could be a long night for Errol Spence. And the key thing in this fight is not so much Spence's punching power with Pacquiao. It's Pacquiao's punching power as Spence. This is the most accurate, most high volume, hard hitting, best footwork guy that Spence has fought in his career. Mikey Garcia doesn't have the hand speed nor the footwork of a Manny Pacquiao, or the experience, right? And Manny Pacquiao's older now, so I don't know how much that Thurman fight took out of him, because I understand he was badly hurt in that Thurman fight. After that fight, Thurman hurt him pretty badly, so I don't know how much Pacquiao's got left. But if he's got anything like he had against the Thurman fight, and he can maneuver himself around that ring, you know. But I think that Derek James is going to explore Manny Pacquiao in a number of ways. I think one of the ways they're going to try to look to explore Manny Pacquiao is to make the old man fight. So force Pacquiao to fight. But you've got to be careful, because Pacquiao sets traps. But one of the things Pacquiao does do, he overreaches. So if Derek James can get Errol Spence to get Manny Pacquiao to overreach with punches and capitalize on Pacquiao falling in with punches, if you can do that, that would be a good start for Spence. But I hope Spence doesn't go in there thinking, yeah, I'm bigger than Pacquiao. Because if he does that, if Errol Spence, good evening, Denise, hope you're well. If Errol Spence thinks that because I'm bigger than Pacquiao, if he thinks that's going to win in the fight, he can forget that. Because you're bigger, it doesn't make you better. It's just more for you to hit, right? So size is one thing. But Spence is no killer. If he was a killer, why would you let Mikey Garcia go 12 rounds, say you were boxing? And your own trainer told you, get out there and stop him. Almost get out there and stop this guy. And you were throwing all the body shots in the world. You couldn't get Mikey Garcia. A guy came up, what, 2 weight divisions to fight you? Come on. And then suddenly that punching power is going to translate to you beating Manny Pacquiao. Come on. Knocking Manny Pacquiao? Well, I don't know. I don't. Yeah, Spence's good body work. But you see, Spence's good body work comes when Spence's got you against the ropes. The elbow, pushing up against the ropes, and then whacking and body shots in. Yeah, Spence is good at that. Spence is what I call a weight bully. He uses his weight, just like Kell Brook uses his weight, gets you against the ropes, and whacks them body shots in. That's how he fights. You know, the Spence on the outside can be outboxed. Spence from the outside can get hit and get nailed. And I don't think Spence has fought anyone who's got the hand speed, the punching power, and the experience of Manny Pacquiao. You see, it's one thing having punching power and movement, but knowing when to move, how to move, when to set shots up. You know, he can make Spence miss and make him pay. He can make Spence overcommit and just hit him as well. You see those things because of footwork. This fight is won, I believe, on footwork. Can Spence track Manny Pacquiao down, get him to the ropes, and hurt him with body shots? Can he do that? Can he do that? Can he stop Manny Pacquiao coming and going boop, 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 and getting away? Or is Spence going to track Manny Pacquiao down? Is he going to fight at a higher pace to make Pacquiao have to work harder? And the big question is, when Pacquiao hits Spence with a straight left hand, you saw when Pacquiao hit Broder with a straight left hand, the look on his face. You saw when Pacquiao hit Thurman on his face, the look on his face. When Pacquiao hits Spence on the chin, that is the moment of the fight for me. If Spence can take the power of Pacquiao, Pacquiao's in for a long night. If he can take the power. But if Pacquiao's able to hurt Spence, get the legs going early, if Pacquiao can land with them left and see that chin really get tested since the accident, see that chin get really tested by Pacquiao, then we'll know. Then we'll know. Then we'll know. That's going to be the key point in the fight. How Spence negotiates Pacquiao's speed, punching power, and experience, his footwork, how he negotiates that, and then how much has Pacquiao got left? I mean, how long can this guy keep going on fighting? How many fights has this guy had? How many wars has this guy had? How does he keep able to fight over and over and over again? I mean, every time I see Manny Pacquiao, I imagine him like a sponge, and you take a sponge out of the bath and you squeeze it, and you keep squeezing it and squeezing it. I mean, there must be no water left in this man. And when Pacquiao retires, God forbid what his body's going to be like. Spence is back with his old strength and conditioning coach, Blu-ray. I follow him at IG. I look for his KOs to come back now. Yeah. Well, the thing is, I don't know. The final question I'm going to ask: Manny Pacquiao, drug testing. Derek James is no mug. He knows what's going on in boxing. He's no fool. They're going to ask. I'm sure they'll ask for Olympic-style testing and all sorts of testing for Manny Pacquiao. Then we'll know. Then we'll know. If Manny Pacquiao's gone through all the stringent testing for the fight and still comes out and causes a knockout, then we shouldn't question Manny Pacquiao's legacy. But then if Manny Pacquiao comes out and fights nothing like the old Manny Pacquiao, people say, well, he's an old man anyway. So this fight for Spence is not a fight I'd be chasing. And I'll tell you why. If Spence loses this fight or looks bad in this fight, is he the truth? If Spence wins this fight and knocks Pacquiao out, well, people say, wow, Pacquiao's an old man. Pacquiao's an old man. So it's a difficult one. And I just think footwork's going to be key in this fight. And the fact that let's rate Spence based on what he's done and who he is, rather than base it on what we'd like him to be. Yes, he is some kind of truth. Is he the whole truth? Hell no. Is he some of the truth? Yeah. Has he been convincing enough to be the bogeyman in the division? No. Has he been conclusive enough to be undisputably the number one welterweight division? No. But then Crawford has not done himself any favors by fighting guys like what's this guy? Khan and Brook. They've not done any favors either. It says here, everybody wanted that Pac fight though. LO, even as old as Bud's fuming. Leave Bud where he is, man. Bud should have moved over to PBC. It's as simple as that. I don't have no sympathy for Crawford. None whatsoever. He's wasting time. And the clock will run down and then he'll end up getting beat by somebody who nobody cares about, because you can't keep fighting mediocre opposition over and over again. And who's the best guy Crawford's beaten in his career now? You know, that's what it is. I've lost interest in Terence Crawford, to be honest. I was interested earlier in his career, you know, when he first became world champion and was making the moves and became undisputed. That I was interested in that. And then he moved out for Jeff Horn. Yeah, I was good about his interest in that. Then he starts fighting people like the Green Man, or whatever his name was. And then he fights Khan, which is garbage. And then he starts fighting even more Brook, garbage. You know, Crawford's got to fight somebody decent now. He's got to fight somebody decent. I would like to see Crawford fight Ray Robinson. I would like to see him get that sorted out, because Ray Robinson beat him as an amateur. I want to see that fight sorted and beat him well in as amateur. So I'd like to see him have that fight. If you're fighting the guy that Ray Robinson got a draw with, why do you fight Ray Robinson? But anyway, I believe Devin Haney's fighting Linares tonight. I don't care. I'm not interested. You know, these young fighters, the other guy, what's his name? Talks too damn much now. Talks too damn much. Lopez, this Teofimo Lopez, talks too damn much. I hope that come fight night, that he weighs in bang on the way. I hope that he does all the things he needs to do and he fights the way he's been talking and puts in a spectacular performance. Some guys make better challengers than they do champions. Some guys are good on one night. I still am not convinced about Lopez. I still don't think he handles pressure that well. And that goes back to his amateur days. I don't think he handles pressure that well. I thought that Lomachenko started to ease and start to put pressure on Lopez, and he started to panic. I would like to see somebody put that pressure on Lopez from the start. And yeah. Why is Ben Davis in Haney's corner? Well, because Ben Davis is part of MTK and Matchroom, isn't it? So I guess he's the trainer of the moment. He's the flavor of the moment. And another thing, did I not tell you about Danny Dubois and Mark Tibbs? Did I not tell you that was a bad combination? It would not last. How long has it lasted? What, a couple of months? Now he's over with Shane McGuigan. Forget Shane McGuigan, man. No. Shane McGuigan and Danny Dubois are not a good combination. Daniel Dubois needs a father figure. Shane McGuigan's not a father figure. He needs a father figure. He needs someone like a James Alibashir, a Stacey McKinney. He needs an older type, even a Don Charles. But he needs an older type figure to take it and slow it down for Daniel Dubois. I don't think Shane McGuigan's a good fit for him. I never thought Mark Tibbs was a good fit for him. I don't think Ben Davis is a good fit for him. He needs a proper mentor, older. I'm talking like a man who's 60, 65, 70. A guy who's done things in the heavyweight division. Forget Shane McGuigan. Sorry. Nothing against Shane McGuigan. Don't care. He might have done what he's done in his career, but no, forget Shane McGuigan. Forget Ben Davison. Forget Mark Tibbs. He needs to be working with a more experienced trainer, an older trainer who's been around the block a few times and has done something in the heavyweight division. That's my advice to Daniel Dubois. It will end up in tears all over again. There'll be an upset in boxing, but with who? Yeah, well, I'm not that high in Darren Haney. I'm not that high on Ryan Garcia. And I'm not that high on Teofimo Lopez. But out of freedom, the one who's kind of been tested a bit is Teofimo Lopez. The other two guys, Garcia got dropped by Luke Autograph Campbell. He's just, he asked for autographs. He asked for autograph when he fought Lomachenko, and he asked for autograph when he fought Ryan Garcia. He had Garcia on the canvas. What the hell was the boy doing? Coach Chris. Let me see if I can get you. Let me see if I can pull you in the room. How are we going to do this, Coach? Yeah, congratulations, Chelsea. But let's see if I can bring you in the room because the connection seems to be okay at the moment. Let me see if I can pull you in here. How are we going to do this? I know how to do this. Bro, can I only send it to you through Instagram. And I've got a stable connection now, which is pretty good. Let's see if I can invite you on the show. Because we get you in the room, and it will be absolute fire bringing you in the room. I know you want to come on the show. Okay, I'm going to invite you. Oh my gosh, I've got to turn my phone on now. I'm going to send you a WhatsApp message. That's the only way I can send it to you at the moment, bro. So I'm going to send you a WhatsApp message, and that's the link to come into the show. You'll be the first guest on the show. So just give me a moment and I'll get you set up. Yep. Man, we got so much to talk about. I hope the connection holds out. I'm just waiting for my phone to turn on. How's your day today, mate? How's it been? All good? See, those guys just, you know what's missing in boxing today? I don't know what to call it, but, you know, when I used to watch Evander Holyfield, who was one of my favorite fighters at the time, you know what I knew about Holyfield? Great stuff. He had a great chin. He had a great heart. He, you know, I knew that if he could fight back in a fight. I knew that he had a big heart. I knew these things about Evander Holyfield. So when I watched Evander Holyfield fight, I had no doubts about when he fought. A lot of these guys, they seem still a mystery. You see them fighting, but they still seem a mystery. I don't know it's because they're not fighting good opponents. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. It seems like something missing. I don't know what that thing is. I wish I knew what it was. Maybe they fought more regularly. I don't know what it is. Somebody can tell me what it is. I don't know. But I just knew. I had faith. Let's go now. Let's share, invite. Let's see if we can get Coach Chris in the room. I hope the connection's good. Don't write what's going on here. Copy the clipboard. Okay, we're in. I think my phone's on. So come on. Do you realize my phone got active internet connection? Of course, it's got active internet connection. What are you done for? Come on. Come on. My phone has got active internet connection. What are you done for? Oh, this has been so dumb. Come on, let's get it going. Come on. There we go. Right. And get me Coach Chris, please. There we go. Right, I just sent it to you. Okay. So I'm just looking forward to getting Coach Chris back on BWTM Sports Gaming. I think we should. Coach Chris, you there?
I'm here.
Very quickly, let's just very quickly talk about Pacquiao and Spence, and then we'll do the full show with you talking about everything.
That's what's up. I'm excited for this fight. First of all, I got to give a big shout out to my man, Manny Pacquiao. You know what I'm saying? He is an absolute gamer, stepping into the ring with pit bull like Errol Spence at his age, man. You know, win, lose, or draw. He has my ultimate respect as a champion, as a superstar, and as a Hall of Famer. And it's been a pleasure watching him fight. And I'm glad to see him take on this challenge. This is what boxing needs. It's a very big fight, and I'm excited. I think Spence wins, though. I think Spence stops him in 8 or 9 rounds. I don't see any way he can get away. The thing Spence showed in that Danny Garcia fight was he has very educated feet, and while he's not fleet of foot like a prime Manny Pacquiao would have been, I think that he'll be able to cut the ring off. Also, the fact that they're both southpaws, I think that plays into his advantage because Manny usually being a really quick southpaw catches people off guard. But I think facing someone that's a southpaw, that just kind of minimizes that, and that's his advantage. I don't think it's as big an advantage as he thinks it's going to be, and I don't see any way he can get out of this fight. Errol Spence is an absolute killer. It's just he's brutal. He's brutal for the welterweight division. He's an absolute monster.
Okay, you call him a monster. Can you actually point out to one fight where he's actually been a monster? Now, if we talk about Deontay Wilder being a monster, yeah, we can sell that. But sell to me one fight where Errol Spence has fought like a monster against an elite fighter. One fight.
I mean, I just think the last fight against Danny Garcia, man, he beat the will out of Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia
has never done great against the top guys. And two, Danny Garcia looked like he was shot to bits. He don't look like he don't want to fight no more.
Well, I think Errol Spence helped him come to that decision. You know what I mean? That's just
that's true.
I think those shots were just so brutal in there. They were just so brutal. And Danny Garcia is a two-time, two-division, junior welterweight world champion. So he definitely deserves our respect. So for him to go out there coming off that car crash, not having fought in, the time he had, taken off, and to beat the absolute brakes off of Danny Garcia, that showed to me he's the number one welterweight. And I'd have him pound over Terrence Crawford after that. I mean, I felt those shots, those body shots he was hitting Danny Garcia with, those were real deal, bad intentions, Rocky Balboa, prime Mike Tyson, just going right to the stomach, right to the arms, right to the back, right to the side.
Wait. They're the same Rocky Balboa, Mike Tyson, Deontay Wilder type punching power that didn't.
No, I'm talking about just in digging to the body, man. Like Errol Spence.
Yeah, but he dug to the body against Mikey Garcia, and Mikey Garcia from two weight divisions coming up didn't go anywhere for 12 rounds.
I think he wanted to make a point with Mikey Garcia, because I think obviously he could have probably beaten Mikey Garcia and stopped him relatively quickly. I just think the fact that in the fight before that, he fought a mandatory, he got the guy out in the first round. He's fighting this guy that's coming up from a smaller division. I just think he took that time to just he completely outboxed Mikey Garcia from every minute of every round 1 to 12, just absolute, just footwork, jab in his face all night. Didn't leave. 121, whatever, 120, 98, whatever that is, just 10 rounds to 12 rounds to 0. Errol Spence is a beast, bro. He is a beast. I am so surprised Manny Pacquiao's taking this fight at his age. But I think, you know what? Manny Pacquiao's looking at it like, hey, the game's been good to me. I'm not going to do like Mayweather and not give one of these good guys one of these young guys a fight, a chance to fight me, to get his name. Because, a lot of casual fans in the United States, because you got to remember, here in the U.S., boxing is a big fight sport. When you get a big fight, that's when it's a big time sport. So Errol Spence faced Manny Pacquiao. A lot of people that still think, they've only seen Pacquiao lose to Mayweather, never seen Mayweather lose. So those guys are the best, as long as they're around. So Errol Spence getting the chance to beat Manny Pacquiao in America on pay-per-view in front of all this, in front of millions of people. It's going to have, you're going to have fight parties. It's going to be on in bars, restaurants, and people are going to see the win. The winner of this fight is going to be the man, It's just unfortunate that Terrence Crawford wouldn't take on that challenge and get himself to this spot. But kudos to Pacquiao. But like I said, I still think, Spence stops him in 7, just brutalizes him to the body, cuts the ring off, and just takes it to him. Pacquiao's 43 now. He can't. If he pulls this off, he's still isn't better than Mayweather. I can't see it. I can't see it. There's no way. Errol Spence. I don't think Pacquiao could really beat Danny Garcia. So, we'll see.
We'll have to sit down and watch that one together. That's gonna be another one of those nights.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's gonna be a good night. Yeah.
Let's end this one and let's get into the real meat and bones, right?
Oh yeah. We got a lot to talk about, man, because your boy's dad came out and I was just like, oh. Could not believe he was talking like that. But we got a lot to discuss, obviously, on in that front. So,
Yeah, let's do it. Right. So what I'm gonna do, I'll start the next live show up and then I'll just jump in the room and then I will send you the link to come through. All right?
Yeah, give me 5 minutes. I'm gonna go get something to drink. And then
okay, no problems. That sounds good.
All right, for sure. All right, boss.
See you, mate, champ. Okay, we'll be with Coach Chris in 5 minutes. Coach Chris was the man who revealed to us live and exclusive on BWTM Sports that Wilder and Fury were going to be in arbitration, and he also revealed to us that Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder were going to fight in the summer of 2021. So we'll be talking to Coach Chris soon. So this is going to be one. I definitely have Pacquiao over Garcia. I certainly would as well. So join us back in 5 minutes. We're going to have Coach Chris. It's going to be a hot one. And I'm sure he got the amount of abuse that Coach Chris got on this channel because of his statements about Wilder and Fury fighting again. So, yes, we'll be back in a few minutes with Coach Chris. And I can't wait to speak to him. In fact, it's one of the most anticipated for myself conversation to have. See you soon.